Present Culture Expo. And of course, we are producing culture, managing events in the cultural and creative industries. Our sponsors for today are Ramesh Entertainment, Yo Levite, and Friends for Real. So, with us today, we have a host of persons, and you'll enjoy their creativity, their vibe, and their energy. So, they say it's rare to find an individual that is multifaceted, creative, right? Boundless enthusiasm for work and committed to adding incredible value to the collaborative process. Well, you guys don't have to look any further. We have him right here. It's Mr. Shane Bygrave. So Shane's lifelong passion for art has allowed him to master some of the most detail-oriented disciplines in design within the 2D and 3D space, with several awards and accreditation along the way. He has thrived on inspiring and motivating others. His most transcendent achievement has been a team leader of an incredible group of senior creatives. So with over 8 years of professional experience in an agency, he has attained an array of proficiency in concept development, multinational campaigns that showcase trade show booths, image manipulation, and graphic designing, as well as 3D modeling. Good to have you, Shane.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're just going to jump right into it, right? Could you tell us what inspires and motivates you?
Well, what inspires and motivates me is, just being able to create freely. I would say that technology inspires me. I like to use. I'm a digital person, so most traditional artists they draw on pen and paper. I use a screen, so just being able to easily erase something or just draft up a concept when I'm sleeping. I can take out my phone and I can draw my phone, and those little things inspires me to push and innovate my creativity.
All right, so all this creativity, I'm sure it didn't come from just out of the air. You were inspired by someone. Who is your role model within this field?
I would say my role model is Bill Gates. I like Microsoft, so I have a lot of Microsoft products. So I look up to that company, and when I see the different types of innovative ways that they push humanitarian stuff, they push for to reduce carbon footprints and stuff like that. Hopefully I can start a company one day that involves or consists of all those little elements, and it's really just like when I look at there was this presentation that Bill Gates did a couple years back, and it was talking about the amount of persons that he when he was starting Microsoft, it was like 1,000 persons he presented the idea to, and at the end of the day it was only like about 5 or 3 that bought into the vision. And it would be nice to have a share in the company when it went public, because it's valued millions today, and I really look up to Bill Gates for that. So okay. he's a person that I look up to say that if he can do it, I can do it as well. Also look up to Donald Trump and Portia Simpson and Kim Kardashian as well, because those are 3 people that when they said that they wanted to do something, the world laughed at them, and at the end of the day they showed that it can be done.
Okay, fair enough. How did you get into this field though?
So I started when I was about 5 years old. My father had one of those film cameras, and I remember crying for the camera, and my passion for art started there. So I started with photography first, and then when I went to Cayman at about, I don't remember, it was a long time ago. I was leaving primary school to go to high school, so I guess I was about 12 or 11 at the time. and I fool around with, and this is going back to Bill Gates again. The first computer I used was a Windows computer. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to use a computer, and I fool around with Paint. So I don't know if you know Microsoft Paint, then you know that it's one of the earlier days of graphic design programs where you could do basic graphics and stuff like that. And you know, I fool around with the digital part of the, well, it's a program, digital program, and I learned, I was just playing around, I was just curious because the first time I was using a computer and I was using the different tools within the program, and I realized that I could do this, I could do on the paper. So that's really where my passion for graphic design officially started. And then at around, I was in grade 9, again, it's a long time ago. I started doing web development. And from there, I said that it's a little bit harder because there's a lot of coding involved. And because there's a lot of coding, it was a bit hard to do. So I said that I need something easier that goes back to just drawing. So I found Photoshop, and from there, you know, that's it. That's the evolution.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier that your role models, they would have risen above the odds. What are some of the challenges that you actually have within this field and industry?
That's a hard question. I think the biggest challenge in the art industry, especially in Jamaica, and I'm speaking for every art, is that people don't value what we do as creatives. For example, you know, as a graphic designer, they would say, oh, it's just a cut and paste, you know, you copy and paste. I can do that, you can do that. If I can do this in Microsoft Word and see, I can do this too. But there's a lot of stuff that you have to think about. There's a lot of variables. You have to think about how it's going to appeal to people psychologically. So you have to know the colors to use, the different typeface to use. You have to know the audience that you're catering to, and it's not just a serif font or a red background and that's it, or you mix blue and green together, red and blue together, and you know, you get a nice colors. So that's the biggest challenge that I would say as a creative that I face, and they don't pay well.
Okay, so people do often overlook the grunt work and everything that it takes to make you into what you are, but I'm sure there's actually some successes along the way. So what is your best moment or your wow moment within your career so far?
There is the best. I don't really know which one is the best, but the one that is standing out in my mind right now is when I worked with my COO at the time, and we were doing a Sean Paul and Survivors music concert at the Moon Palace Jamaica Grande, Ocherius, and I worked along with the stage manager for the event, and I would say my reward from that was, you know, I got to stay at the hotel for 3 days. It was 3 days? No, 2 days. It's about 2 or 3 days. For me, that was my success right there.
It was a big collaboration.
Yes, it was a big collaboration.
So what artists or creative would you like to collaborate with in the future?
That one is a very hard question as well. There's so much.
Top 3.
There's this guy, he's from England. His name is Jonathan Ball. He does a lot of 3D stuff. I would definitely love to collaborate with him. Locally, I don't know who locally. There's Taj Francis. He's a really good illustrator. So I would love to like one day to be in a room, you know, with him, ideating stuff, to see how best we can mix the illustrations and the 3D together.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So, what would you like to be remembered for? After all this is said and done, you create your art, everybody loves it. What would you like to be remembered for, your legacy in the end?
The person pushing for mental health. I know it doesn't come back to visual arts, but I would want to be remembered for, you know, the person pushing for mental health, because as a graphic designer, you know, it's really hard mentally, because it's not a physical job where you can go to bed and rest, and the next day you feel vitalized and all rejuvenated. It takes days to really come back to a solid state of mind where you feel refreshed, because there's a lot of thinking that goes on with the creative process. And in the industry, you know, everything is really last minute. So it's really a back to back to back. You have to get the work out. It's always due yesterday. So you are forced to think overtime. And sometimes you go to your bed, you dream about these things. And it can be a little bit tiring sometimes. You probably go to your bed thinking you get 7 hours of rest, which you actually do, but when you wake up you still feel exhausted.
I get you. And all the work that you have to put in to ensure that it comes out to perfection for what people want.
Yeah.
So you've been in the business for quite a while. What would you say to aspiring creators, people who aspire to be just like you?
Well, what I would say to you is that, you know, go out, be yourself. Make sure that your passion is something that, make sure that if you're executing art for your job, it's your passion, because like I said, after a while, it's going to become tiring, and it's really the passion that keeps you going forward. And always believe in yourself. Like I say, if you ever feel any doubt, remember that people said that Donald Trump would not be the president. He became the president. They also said that Kim Kardashian wouldn't be a good lawyer. I don't know if she's a good lawyer, but you know, she's doing law. And also Portia Simpson, you know, a lot of people say a lot of bad things about her, but she was the first female prime minister, and she did a good job throughout her tenure.
Okay, so be yourself.
Yeah,
and
be yourself.
And I think that's important as a creative, to being your most authentic self. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Bagger, for coming.
Thank you
appreciate
for having
it.
me.
All right. Alright, so of course, big up again to our sponsors for today, Yo Levite, Ramesh Entertainment, and Friends for Real. So of course, we have the man himself from Friends for Real, the CEO of Friends for Real, with us today, and he is Omar Benjamin, otherwise known as Benji. And Friends for Real is based here in Kingston, Jamaica. He is a prominent music producer that has helped to develop a lot of young talent, some of which include Intense, iWater, Lali, and more currently, Q-Rush. Well, go on, Benji.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. Yeah. We miss out version. Put version in there.
And version.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. So what inspires you, Benji?
Pretty much people, to be honest, people. You know, a lot of people made us choose something as what people is who inspire me, you know, definitely.
And you say you're not only making music, but you're changing lives.
Yeah, changing lives every day, you know. We're very connected with the community and neighboring community. I'm from Olympic Gardens, and that's Kingston 11. So, you know, it's a great venture, but more of the message and the reach.
Yeah,
Go
ahead.
All right, so, you know, we reach out to people, but we're trying to get in touch more with, like, the teens. You know, and they're more trouble than anything else. So, and you know, people know the community that we're from, You know, always kind of, you know, down in terms of violence and stuff like that. So we need music, you know, but more of all we need people, you know, to change lives. So definitely reaching out to people is one of the greatest things for me.
So when you were starting out in the business, of course you're changing lives now, but when you were starting out in the business, who changed your life? Who is your role model?
Well, it has to be Bounty Killer, but alongside Bounty, you know, I have to give big shout out to Arthur Whale, that is Arthur Amos of Free Willy Records. You know, he was the one who gave me the platform to say, you know, you want to come and do music. So I used to work there for a while, and I got, you know, all my first lessons at Arthur Whale's Free Willy.
So how did you start?
Well, I started out as an artist, and that didn't work out. The producer told me straight up, like, you know, leave that alone. You know, not that you're not good, but like right now, you know, I can't really help you with a career. So, you know, I just stick around, you know, and like I got into engineering. You know, so I have to big up Robert Engine Gear Rodney. So he was a close friend, you know, and he taught me engineering. So here I am right now.
And of course, you say you started out as an artist. What are some of your challenges as you go through the industry?
All right. First is just like to get people to take you serious. You understand? The next challenge was like to get to perform. It was our challenge as well. Like, you know, you go to the stage show because you don't have any name and, you know, nobody know you. You know, no knowings. You know, so that was the challenges. But, you know, with determination, you know, and that the same thing led me to Arthur Wales too. So just determination, you know.
And of course, with determination, everything possible.
It is.
So what are some of your biggest achievements, your best achievements, something that you feel has made you successful?
Recognition. The first #1 was Gully Bops. So I got a #1 with Gully Bop, you know, and major attention. You know, not only with fans or just citizens of this great nation and outside, but even the music community, you know, other major producers that I was looking up to, the Steven and, you know, the Daseka, you know, all of these big names, you know, people start to see you now and you can go rub shoulder with them, and, you know, that was one of the greatest feeling ever, you know.
So is there anybody right now in Jamaica or otherwise that you would actually love to collaborate with?
Yeah, well, Bounty Killer and Beanie Man.
Bounty Killer and Beanie Man.
Definitely.
Okay.
If I can get that one collaboration or if it's separate, I'm good, but Bounty and Beanie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're changing lives, so of course you're going to have a legacy that you leave behind. What's the legacy that you want to be remembered for?
All right. Currently, the studio hosts about 40 members, I guess. You know, probably a little bit more than that, right? And it's all youngsters.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we try to like to spread the creative field to them. You know, composing, writing songs, building rhythms, recording, road management, anything that has to do with the entertainment field. But other than that, I think the biggest part of it we want to do like a college.
Yeah.
We want to change the diaspora in terms of doing a musical college from our establishment. So that's the legacy I want to leave and the team want to leave here. That we are the first ones to start that as a studio to convert over into a musical college. So that's the thing that I'm working on right now.
I like that. I like that you have a future for the people around you.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what is the advice you want to inspire other persons around you? And of course, whether from Olympic Gardens or anywhere else across Jamaica in the inner cities, what would you say to a youth that aspires to be like you right now?
All right, well, the first thing, hard work. I'll tell you this, putting in work is the #1 key. hard work, sleepless nights, stuff like that. You have to do it. But I'll tell a lot of youngsters, pay attention to your circle. Very, very important. And please, do not tell your big dreams to small-minded people. That's it, basically. Your big dreams, never tell them to small-minded people.
That's a lot. That's a word. Don't tell your big dreams to small-minded people.
Definitely.
Wow. Do you have any final words to say?
Well, just let's keep doing the music, do great music. You know, I think one of the things we need more than ever is the reach. Our music personally needs that exposure, and we need help from greater minds and greater people that are before us. Right? I think there's too much pointing of fingers because there's no way you can tell a kid that his music is not great if he's affecting other people. You understand? But if you can reach out to that individual and say, listen, I am before you, and this is maybe where you're going wrong.
Yeah.
So I think the pointing of fingers, and if you see it now, even the new acts, the younger acts, pretty much they don't want to go in that space where the veterans are because they feel it's more pointing and bashing and school, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we need to nurture the music more. We need to nurture the upcoming talents because they're doing work, they're putting in work.
Yeah.
All right, so we just need to just cut that out where everyone is pointing finger and people fighting against each other. You know, let's just work together. We need unity within the music right now. Right?
All right, so you've heard it here first from the man himself, Benji from Friends for Real. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
And now we're here with Karon Levi Young, and he is a graduate of the University of the West Indies with a Bachelor of Sciences in Computer Science. Having worked as a brand manager with the likes of CariMed and Contemporary Orthopedics, he has traded in his corporate hat to pursue his dream of being a music producer. He has been working behind the scenes with top acts, which includes Vibes Cartel, Beanie Man, Dexter Daps, and many more, as well as iWater. He is currently working closely with upcoming talents, including the likes of 3-Star Wildlife and Crush. Hi, Karon.
Hi, greetings. Thanks for having me.
All right, so tell us a bit about yourself. What motivates you?
I think the outcome of things that you put yourself to or put your mind to, the result is what motivates me to go on, trying new things and to see how they play out. Creativity at its highest, just to try new things and to explore, and also to improve on things that already exist and to make them better. That has always been something that motivates me to go along and to be different.
And to be different.
Yeah, and to be different.
So in being different, who is your role model?
Alright, so when I just started doing music, the likes of producers including like Not Nice, Steven, Genius McGregor, those persons were the ones that inspired me. But however, joining the profession as a full-time music producer, I've been working with the likes of the persons that do inspire me, including those at Friends for Real, like Red Boom, Super Mixed, and even Omar, Benjamin in their various capacities.
Alright, so you switched from the corporate space into music. That was kind of a big switch. How did you get into the field? What made you decide to switch?
It was kind of the turning point in my life. I've been doing music from ever since I was a little boy, but I was always adamant on being a computer engineer. While I was in high school, I was a part of almost every club, cadet, ICF, camera club, etc. But I was also a part of the band. I was a band member. I played the bass guitar. I was a part of the orchestra. I was a trombonist. At that point in time, I started teaching music. Even at high school, I taught 4th and 5th form music. I also taught one of the graduating class at the year while I was in 6th form C-set music. Growing up, it was also the having to try to transition from academia to music. My parents weren't necessarily, I wouldn't say they weren't supportive, they just weren't that much understanding. Persons within my family value degrees or education. If I never got a degree, I would have been frowned upon to some extent. So I was always adamant of wanting to complete a degree for security. So even when I came here at UWI, I also applied to like Berkeley's School of Music. I wanted to go to Edna, ended up at UWI. Long story. But while I was here, I was always thinking not necessarily of a way out, but to transition. So while I was here, I networked. I had to link a lot of people because I knew that at the end of all of this, I wanted to be doing music, but not necessarily only in the capacity like many others, like just to sit around a computer. But I wanted to be a difference, as aforementioned, like how can we impact the music industry on a whole from an academia standpoint, not only to be behind the scenes in terms of making beats or sitting in a studio, but how can we inspire or affect or impact the industry or the structure of music and all of the intricacies, so to speak. It has been rough. It was one of the turning points in my life. When I resigned as a brand manager, I never told anybody, maybe only my father and my uncle, and for 6 months my parents weren't aware that I was not a brand manager anymore. Before I resigned, I was actually introduced to PresentCulture by a friend. She actually called to get help to sponsor an event. I wasn't working at Caramed anymore, but they wanted Durex. So they wanted help with writing proposals so they could keep an event. Now, PresentCulture is a company big for not only music but for charity. So this particular event would have been something that gives back to the community. So they wanted for us to write proposals so that we can get sponsorship, so that it offsets the cost of like execution, so that more could be spent on buying stuff to give back to persons within the community. So she brought me there, and it was a sense of home, a sense of belonging. And while I was there, I was seeing everything happening right before me, and I said to myself, so yo, this was where I should be. And for around a month and a half, I considered it. And I remember going to Benji and say, yo, I'm like, I left my job. And him said, no, you're mad. You can't do that. How I go pay and them thing. And I say, yo, I'm worried about that. And then, so there and then I remember going home and writing my resignation letter and had it for a while, because I knew that this was now the opportunity for me to transition from corporate or from that life to now to be doing music. So yeah, life changing.
That's brave. That's a brave step to take.
And then also that was kind of a couple months before COVID.
Wow.
So when I actually resigned, officially started doing music full time, then basically the 1st of January in 2020. And I remember COVID coming in March. So it was a rough period because most of what we were trying to implement at PresentCulture, it got hit because we couldn't go on the road, we couldn't execute this, we couldn't. So from that time, it was mostly now a period of building. So we were building physically at the studio, building the team, ensuring that persons were now adequately equipped with knowledge, so that now, because we were now preparing for the fact that the world would be open again. So right now we're picking up back where we started from at that point.
All right, so with all of that you went through, what would you say is your biggest achievement since becoming a music producer and going into the music business?
Well, other than having my name co-listed or co-written beside Vibes Carter, which is kind of a major point, because he was always somebody, his music inspired me. The fact that he is somebody that not necessarily reinvents himself, but to stay current, and he's an innovator. At any point in time, something can be up or what I call it now, publicized or highlighted if he wants it to, based on his influence. I've always respected his level of influence. Also, it was working on projects or albums, including Dexter Dapp's album with he had a song with Beanie Man. Obviously, it was also getting to work on unreleased projects. One was with Ninja Man. It was the opportunity to travel and to work with Mr. Easy. So it has been a lot. I never expected to be garnering this much traction in the space of 2 years, but I'd say that Friends for Real, in a sense, provided the platform. It's not a sense where things are handed to you, but it's a place where if you go there with the intention of doing work and if you're committed to what you do, opportunities will be presented to you, so to speak.
All right, so you've already worked with a lot of big names already in the space of 2 years.
Yes.
All right, so who would be that one person that you would like to collaborate?
All right, so this should have been a question that I would have been expecting, but so far, I'd say, all right, funny enough, it's not somebody that many would be surprised to hear, but currently I'm working on a project with Crush, an upcoming artist, but we're trying to get an artist from Trinidad. Her name is Nyla Blackman. So the thing is, we're actually in talks already, but I've been a big fan of her music from ever since Yui. I can remember instances where I was studying and listening to her songs and actually saw the transition from where she, I wouldn't say just started, but she's developed into the artist that she is now. So this particular song, the vibe and the energy, it's actually something that I'm highly anticipating and craving. So for just to have her finish the song or for us to work on the song, I can see where this song can be doing a lot of impact here in the Caribbean, because the thing is, we're not only doing music for ourselves, but we're trying to, not only, as we said, not necessarily only Jamaica or the global scale, but I think the Caribbean on a whole needs, I wouldn't say developing, but a greater sense of identity and pride. And so we're working on music that will integrate Guyana, Belize, Trinidad, as we have aforementioned, just to ensure that we make a greater lasting impression or impact on the industry on a whole to develop.
So you're at Friends for Real now,
yes,
not only making music but
not
changing
only.
lives.
True.
So what it is that you would like to be remembered for?
So indirectly, I brought a lot of corporate experience to Friends for Real. So I not only act in the capacity of like a music producer, but also as, well, obviously like a marketing manager, so to speak. We've been having a lot of discussions about impacting and influencing lives, but not loosely. Community has a lot of persons that want opportunities, but truthfully aren't in a position to accept them. A lot of times persons would say, "Oh, want an opportunity," but many persons aren't necessarily looking at the fact that some of them need to be able to read, some of them need to be able to drive, need to be able to interact or to relate to people. I think I can be somebody that can impact persons to see that persons with education may be needed, or higher a level of education may be needed to make more transitions like I did, because in a way the industry on a whole is looked upon as being cheap, and even though it's a multi-million-dollar industry, my parents weren't readily accepting of the fact that because they were thinking of more traditional jobs, being a doctor, lawyer, whatsoever the case may be. So sometimes people think of entertainers as being what I call it, I wouldn't use the word dunce or anything, but persons would say, so in a sense where they wouldn't necessarily understand that these like traditionally speaking, reggae music, dancehall music has been quite informal, and then that has been one of the major problems that we have even to know that we've inherited. Agreements, we see where contracts are non-existent, it's just a fairy tale. We see where the music business is not necessarily business, it's just basically preferential agreement, so to speak. I like you, I can do music with you, I like your sound, let's do a song together, and then what happens, but there's no true intention. What we want to do is to create a sense of identity where our music model can be something that other persons would look upon and try to structure their either label around or also just to formulate ideas that we've been putting in and to better, so that we can know that we've left a blueprint where other persons are modeling their musical prowess or musical journey from. So that way we can have a better structure going forward, so to speak, and so that we may, as you say, impact the lives not only for ourselves, but have to be thinking about children that we are now having, and then our children, and then the ones that we don't know, and communities here, there, and everywhere. So that way we can have, like I said, better lives, not only where, because I think the whole thing about violence, etc., is being plagued is just coming from a stem of not having income or money. So if we can do more things that we can generate more avenues so persons can earn, and while structuring the music, then that's something that we would like to be remembered for, doing, so to speak, contributing a lot more to the economy and to every form of industry with just the music.
So you want to ensure that music makes a greater contribution to
a lot more, because we've seen where going to other countries, it plays a lot of role and the significance of the lives of people, but here it's just treated as a secondary thing. It has a level of respect, yes, but it doesn't have respect that it should, because one, we make it look very easy. Jamaica turns over a lot of artists each year. Some of the times you can't even find, well, there's a lot of songs that you can't even choose to play on the radio because you have to fight to be popular, you have to fight to be relevant. Other countries, they suffice, you can promote a song for a year or two. In Jamaica, you need a song every week to be relevant. However, and these are things stemming from, as we say, not having a lack of, or having a lack thereof of a structure, or markets where we can now generate more income, as like we previously had a discussion about the zinc fence and the billboard. Like in America you have the billboard, and in Jamaica you don't even have a zinc fence. So we're now complaining about the Grammys and how they're not accepting or what they're calling acknowledging local acts, but why aren't we doing the same for our people? So it's just for us to do good music and to use our music as a vehicle to answer all the questions or to solve the problems that we think are now existing, so to speak.
Okay, so we want to change all of that, and your legacy would be ensuring that you somewhat contribute to changing all of that. So what is some advice you may have for someone coming after you, someone probably wanting to be like you, probably someone out there that's looking to switch from the corporate world to music?
Well, first of all, take the risk and dare to be different. In being different, you don't necessarily have things that you can look to relate, so you don't know if you're doing the right thing. But once you do what you do with confidence, and once it is something that you're passionate about, you know how to be self-sufficient. You have to be self-inspiring. Don't let what persons say give you any sense of doubt. Also to be committed to your dreams. If this is what you really want to do, you find ways of making it happen. I wouldn't say take no for an answer, but know how to negotiate, know how to reason. And then also think about networking. Sometimes we take persons around us for granted, but sometimes it's about knowing how to, I want to say use loosely, but it's also how to incorporate persons in teams, knowing the strengths of other persons and how things like that can benefit you in the long run. And then, as we say, take the risk. Don't be afraid to try stuff. Don't be afraid to innovate. Don't be afraid to be the only person in the room with an idea, and staying true to your ideas and ideologies, so to speak.
All right, so guys, don't forget to dare to be different, network, negotiate, and staying true to your ideas and dreams.
You have a good memory.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
Well, it only goes up from here. Romario Crush Brown was born on April 30, 1998, raised in the community of Douglas Castle, St. Anne, Jamaica, and his father, Vincent Brown, was an avid lover of music, always playing reggae songs and, as we say in Jamaica, holding a vibe with Romario and his other siblings. This small act of bonding was so impactful on his son's life that it heavily influenced young Romario at the mere age of 12 to pursue music and his dream career. Now, at the age of 22, he can definitely admit that the sleepless nights, hungry days, and the dull moments are finally paying off. Now, Crush is spending his days by taking his creativity to the people, putting everything in his music as he believes that he is now ready to take the show to the world, that it is definitely his time at a shot at fame. Here is Crush.
Call my phone, but I want to hear it. Table full of quads, me and my friend them raving. Time free up, so we spend my saving. Flip them blazing, get some ladies, give them Baileys. We a party hard till sun come. We a party hard till sun come down. I saw we party hard when night come. I saw we party hard when night come down. Can't make my cup run dry, no. Pour more liquor in night, no. Girl a wine in a rewind, yo. Pull it up again, my bus blank, bow. Can't make my cup run dry, no. Pour more liquor in night, no. Girl a wine in a rewind, yo. Pull it up again, my bus blank, bow. Long time the party don't keep. A quarter mil me spend, the table don't cheap, no. Yeah, no my friend me not leave until the raving never start to get clean, oh. All in me eye, they won't top me no leafy clock, so you can't catch me in your photo. Levi bossy Remy Martin, that's how we go on. Put music up on so low. We a party hard till sun come. We a party hard till sun come down. So we party hard when night come. So we party hard when night come down. Can't make my cup run dry, no. Pour more liquor in night, no. Girl a wine in a rewind, yo. Pull it up again, my bus blank, bow. Can't make my cup run dry, no. Pour more liquor in night, no. Girl a wine in a rewind, yo. Pull it up again, my bus blank, bow. Make you lock up my phone, but I want to hear it. Table full of quads, me and my friend them raving. Time free up, so we spend my saving. Flip them blazing, get some ladies, give them Baileys. We a party hard till sun come. We a party hard till sun come down. So we party hard when night come. So we party hard when night come down. Can't make my cup run dry, no. Pour more liquor in night, no. Girl a wine in a rewind, yo. Pull it up again, my bus blank, bow. Can't make my cup run dry, no. Pour more liquor in night, no. Girl a wine in a rewind, yo. Pull it up again, my bus blank, bow. We a party hard till sun come. We a party hard till sun come down. I saw we party hard when night come. So we party hard when night come down. Yeah. No. Now rewind. More kind night. Now rewind. Whoa.
Thank you so much for staying with us while we went on our break. Don't forget, our sponsors for this event are Ramesh Entertainment, Your Levite, and Friends for Real. And as we come back and just rally it back a bit, we're here with, of course, the man himself, Don Dada. And Don Dada is an artist and lifestyle brand documenting dancehall culture through art and streetwear. It's led by Jamaican AR artist and founder Bonita Thompson, Don Dada, who fuses art with culture and technology. Bonita started as a graphic designer in advertising. He has a little bit over 8 years of experience.
Yeah, close to 10.
Working with brands such as Red Stripe, Campari, Reggae Sumfest, JFDF, and many others. Bonita has since worked with a lot of big names, namely Karon, Damian Marley, and Sean Paul. He has partnered with MetaMap, Binance, WePay, and Alexia James for Jamaica's first NFT conference. Bonita also worked as a content creator for Meta, formerly known as Facebook, and is a sold out NFT artist. Is a big deal. Welcome, Bonita.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
All right, so we just read your bio, so we know a little bit about you, but tell us a little bit more about yourself. What inspires you?
What inspires me to make art?
Yeah.
I think what inspires me to make art and what inspires me to make this most recent collection are two kind of different things. In terms of art, it's innate. You get me? Like I born drawing, I born painting. Like I used to draw on the doors and on the walls, and my mother used to tell me, say it look good, even though it's box people, like box face and circle, roly poly oly. But in terms of this collection, what inspired like my most recent work is really a case where I was a little bit of an Oreo growing up. So I never used to like listen to a lot of like dancehall reggae music. And then I kind of discovered the genre and just realized just like how fucking cool it is. And then from doing my research, I realized that like I wasn't finding a lot of representation for the culture and from the perspective of somebody in the culture. You know, a lot of times when you see dancehall or reggae on like a main stage, it's through the eyes of a foreigner. Yeah. So it's really just for me to represent the culture, take all aspects of dancehall and reggae and just like everyday Jamaican life and put that on a canvas as art. And then also it was like me also trying to push the boundaries of how we view art and how you interact with it, you know, because the pieces are augmented reality and they're large, so it's like 5-6 feet tall. So when you scan it and the AR comes out, it would literally like fill this entire space, and you can walk around with it, get different like different ways to interact with it, move through it. Some people have taken photos and videos in the artworks themselves. So yeah, like all of that is really just inspired by dancehall and just like my love for art, you know?
All right, so for the non-art gurus like myself, what do you say? What is AR? What is AR and NFT? Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
All right, so AR is short for augmented reality, and I think the simplest way to put it is it's a way of layering graphics on real world things, all right? So there are two types. There are two acronyms that you usually hear. You'd hear like AR and VR in the same sentence. Virtual reality is very different. It's literally like transporting you into a whole new world. So if you put on like a headset, you'd see what is in that space, versus my work that's augmented, where if you scan the code, then it comes out in where we are, you know, in this real world space. So for example, this chair, I could make it fire or turn it into ice. When you scan it with your phone and you're looking at it, it looks like an ice chair, you know? So that's what augmented reality is. With NFTs, fuses a bunch of different. It fuses a couple what you might call it now, like spaces. You know, I think the simplest way to put it is that an NFT is a stock.
Yeah.
So like how you buy shares of Mayberry or Wisynco, that share is essential is a synonym for an NFT. You get me?
Okay.
And you having it as an NFT proves that you have ownership over a digital asset. Alright? So like JPEGs, that's a digital asset.
So wait, you are going to be the sole owner, or can it have more than one owners?
Well, you see, they say it's getting kind of complex, but yes and no. It really depends on your project.
Okay.
So for me, I approach it as an artist that does one of ones. So if you buy one NFT, that's the only copy, and you own that, right?
Yeah.
But then what some artists are doing, like people whose work will sell for like $100 million, that one piece you can fractionalize it. So essentially, like you get 1 unit, and you can say it's 100. You break it down into individual pieces. You have like 100. You have 100 smaller pieces of this bigger thing, and then people buy those smaller units. So it's kind of like if you do a stock split.
Yeah.
In a way, so you just break it down so you have more pieces and you sell them out. So that is kind of one way to put NFTs and to think about it. And that's the next reason why it's also like really getting a lot of mainstream attention, because it's very lucrative.
Yeah.
A lot of people are making a lot of money off of it, by similar to how you have flipping culture, like those American kids that buy sneakers for like all $2 and then sell it back for like $2,000.
Yeah.
It's the same thinking with an NFT, you know. That's one of the ways that people are driving the whole transformation of the space. And then on a grander scale, people are also starting to see the potential of it, because NFT stands for non-fungible token, means that it can never be edited, altered in any way. Once it exists, it exists. Even if you like delete a record, it still exists because it's on millions of computers, so you can never get rid of it. So people are starting to see the security of it, and then because of that, now it's starting to expand outwards in terms of the applications of it, you know. So like, no, it's art, but then you also have like musicians that are doing NFTs. There's this artist in Barbados. His name is Halit Mal. Alright, he's a musician, so I'm kind of fused like dancehall, rap, like a bunch of different genres. But he's one of the top selling NFT artists in the Caribbean.
Oh wow.
You know, like his songs sell for like 10 ETH, 15 ETH, and equivalent 1 ETH is like 3-4 grand US. That's like 40 grand US, which in Jamaican times that by 150. You know? Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of how the space is evolving, and that's and everything I said is like what really gives it value and why people are getting into it.
All right, so coming into this space and learning how to do AR, NFT, and kind of getting familiar, finding your footing, who is it that you would say is your role model?
Myself?
Whether in yourself.
I like to thank me for all of the hard work that I put into this. But yeah, no, it's a lot of research. I wouldn't really say that in terms of the NFT space I have any like role models, because everybody is literally like figuring it out as we go. And it's the early adopters like myself and everybody else in the space who are helping to really like legitimize the space, and then also just show people what is possible with the space. So yeah, but outside of that though, it is a lot of research, because information, there's new information every day, you know, because when you really think about it, NFTs literally blew up like February last year, you know, when people made like the $69 million headline. And since then, in the space of a year from then till now, what people thought was possible has just like magnified times 100.
Yeah.
You know.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Yeah. Siri just wants to be a part of this conversation. They're listening. But yeah. How did I get into NFTs?
Yeah.
It's really again from seeing like what people did and what other artists were doing. I never really like rushed into it because it is a lot to really process. Just understanding like the words and what they mean in itself, you know. But yeah, just by like paying attention to the space, I had the art show and that was a hit. And then it's a case where like other artists from everywhere started reaching out like, yo, you should do NFTs, blah, blah, blah. It so happened that I'm glad I never rushed it. And a team just formed organically. Yeah. You know, so like I said, I was in marketing for a while, so I have that design background. Yeah. Then I connected with a friend, Alexia James, who is a strategist. Yeah. You know, so she helped to build out the brand even further. And then from there, so organically connected with a local NFT like art collector who like really helped to just give that inside eye into what collectors themselves are looking for. Yeah, and it's through like putting together a solid team that everything else was kind of possible, you know, because like a lot of artists get into the space and don't really sell.
That's true, and you're the first sold out NFT artist in Jamaica.
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah. 10 pieces, 0.4 ETH. Yeah.
That's amazing. Congrats.
I mean, thank my team.
Well, congrats to you and your team.
Yeah.
So is being the first sold out NFT artist your biggest achievement to date in the industry?
No. It is an achievement. It's I think it's a big achievement. But it's not an achievement with how people would think it is, in the sense that like, oh, you hear sold out and you hear NFT and you think, oh wow, you rich nigga. It's more, it's an achievement that I'm happy for, but it's also just like a next level of expectation and weight and responsibility, because my collectors are literally like all over the world, and it's a case where like if they buy into your work, it's kind of like you launching a company in a way, or at least that's how I'm thinking about it. So it's like you launch a company, and your early collectors are like your venture capitalists, or like your funders, you know. So how I'm thinking about it is a case where like I did a successful first round. You know, now I have these collectors, these synonym investors who are now looking to what I'm going to do next. They have bought into the project, so so you can see that like they genuinely care about the success of the project. So yeah, it's really just like me just like managing that level of responsibility now. You know, and also just kind of building off of the hard work that went into getting here, you know, just making sure that for this year, because I do have some big plans for 2022, just making sure that I execute those plans at a bigger level than the previous, you know, just making sure that everything that I do is better than what I did before, and by doing that you get to keep your collectors happy, you get to grow the brand further. Yeah, so it's really just like adjusting to this new responsibility.
And with all the research and in all the adjusting that you do, what would be some of the challenges that you would think you find in the NFT AR experience?
I would say the biggest challenge is the fact that like it's all new.
Yeah.
So it's not like anything that we're doing has been done before. Yeah. You know? I guess that's a challenge, but then that's also a benefit, you know, like depending on how you use it, because there's literally no right or wrong to it, you know. So I'd really say is that it's really a case where like it's so new and it's expanding so rapidly that even if you fail, you still have the opportunity to come back, you know, just learn from your mistakes. Like from what I've noticed is there are a couple of characteristics or character types that the NFT space really values. You know, like they value hard work, they value sincerity, like you being your authentic self is the best thing that you can do. You know, so when you watch like Gary Vee that cuss like every 2 words, like people still rate him because he's being his true authentic self, you know. So yeah, I think even though like there are 1 or 2 challenges, I think once you as a creator stay true to your authentic self and do just like what you believe is the right thing, reasonably, logically, the space will embrace you.
That's amazing. I like that. So with all the challenges, you know, you have you say you have a lot of benefits that makes it better. What are some of the persons that you would say, hey, this is someone within the industry that I actually look up to because of them being, whether they're their authentic self or they're just really good at what they do within the field?
Well, there are a couple. So I'd definitely start with Alexia James. She stays authentic to just who she is at every point. And it's something that like it connects through the line, you know, like you can from interacting with her, you can say that there's no fake about it. Very hardworking, like really just like prompt, you know. I mean, like if you mess with her time, you go no. There are a couple others in the space. So there's Anya and Safia from Trinidad. They run this really amazing NFT project. So what they do is they design like festival wear, and because they're in Trinidad, you know, say it have that carnival inspiration to it, but they design that and they sell it as NFTs. So you get the digital clothes that you can wear in the metaverse, like Decentraland or Sandbox, right? And you get the physical clothes that you wear in real life. You know, so it's like 3 layers of ownership, you know, that previously you'd only just get this physical thing. So yeah, they are doing some amazing things in the space that I really look up to them for. Again, I mentioned Halik. There's another artist named Nicholas Huggins, also from Trinidad. Like that guy's work ethic is, it don't even make sense. Like the man just churn out like 3-4 artworks a day.
Oh wow.
And you have a full-time job plus like your personal relationships, plus how do you even manage that, you know? Like it takes me probably like 3-4 months to do one of my artworks to show you. But I rate like his work ethic. It's just next level.
So with all the hard work and good ethic that you have to put into the NFT, would it be something that you recommend to someone aspiring to be in your position today? Would it be something that you recommend? And if yes, would you have any advice at all for them?
No, definitely. I would advise everybody to get into NFTs. Whether you're an artist, you're a writer, you're a photographer, like anything at all. Like you don't. It's actually at a point now where like you don't even need to be artist in the definition of the word. You can be a thinker, you know. All you really need to do is come up with cool ideas, and once your idea is viable, you can show that viable product of it. Get in the space, you know, because it's really going to be the future. Like, nobody really like comes across a brand new idea and sees how viable it is and how lucrative it is and then say, okay, we're gonna just forget about this, you know, because you're literally seeing like the value of NFTs, you know, and it's really just a case where the more people become aware of it, because right now it's probably like, I don't know, 3%. It's super minuscule. There's a handful of people who are really leading the charge. So yeah, any creative at all, like, get in the space, you know, hop on Twitter. All of the people that I mentioned, follow them. Actually, Alexia made a guide for all of the Caribbean, you know, so it's really a guide that like onboards new creatives that want to be in the space. So it defines literally like all the terms that we spoke about: NFTs, gas price, minting, different marketplaces, different projects to follow, different people, like checklist of all the things that you need to do to have a successful project, you know. Yeah, so it's a free document for anybody who's interested. But yeah, definitely just get in the space, educate yourself about it, you know, listen in on some Twitter spaces, some clubhouse spaces about NFTs, and yeah, start because it's so new. You get me? Like, if you start right now, you're literally ahead of like 1 billion people, you know. And then it's really from there, so now just making sure that whatever you put out is quality work, you know, and don't skim on your morals, don't skim on your authenticity. Like, don't trade who you are for quick money, because that will fade, you know. But definitely join the space.
Okay, so you mentioned Twitter, Clubhouse, all that social media. Is there somewhere that we could find you out in the social media universe that they could actually view your artwork, see what you're about, could view your
Man. So my socials, I'm on Twitter as real Don.ja. It's spelled REAL, real, Don, DON. Dada is DADA, and then JA. And for Twitter, that was Twitter. For Instagram, it's Don.ja, and my website is also Don.ja. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Thank you guys so much for all your support and for tuning in today to the Present Culture Expo, producing culture, managing events in the cultural and creative industries. We want to say a big thank you also to the Faculty of Humanities and Education and our lecturer, Dr. Howard. Alright, so of course we cannot leave without thanking our sponsors, and we'd like to thank all our sponsors, whether behind the scenes or otherwise, and that's M1 Production Limited, Ramesh Entertainment, Yo Levites, Friends for Real, and of course a big thank you to the man behind the camera, Beans Media Designs. Hi everyone, welcome to the Present Culture Expo, and of course we are producing culture, managing events in the cultural and creative industries. Our sponsors for today are Ramesh Entertainment, Yo Levite, and Friends for Real. So with us today we have a host of persons, and you'll enjoy their creativity, their vibe, and their energy. So they say it's rare to find an individual that is multifaceted creative, right? Boundless enthusiasm for work and committed to adding incredible value to the collaborative process. Well, you guys don't have to look any further. We have him right here. It's Mr. Shane Bygrave. So Shane's lifelong